Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, brought to you by the Wealthy Speaker School. This is the podcast dedicated to people who want to speak more as a way to build their income and grow their business. Hey, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. Today is a fun day to me because we are talking about one of my favorite technology tools, that is Zoom. I'm joined by small business tech expert, Marquesa Pettway. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, Jane.
We met each other in San Diego, although we had known each other. We met again in San Diego not too long ago at Amy Porterfield's event, which was so much fun, was it not?
Yes, it was.
I loved it. Now, you do a lot of virtual events, and I think a lot of speakers might like some filler income, revenue between speeches. That's kind of the way I come at passive income. You have a little bit of, maybe you don't love the word passive income, but tell everybody about your business and what you are talking about when you say passive income.
Excellent. I do call myself the business reinvention expert and strategist.
Okay.
And I would say, Jane, about 10 to 15% of my business would be corporate clients, and the rest are all entrepreneurs. That's where my heart is.
Okay.
From the corporate world, TV world, all that good stuff. But then I decided, I really love entrepreneurs. I love that space. Now, where Zoom comes in, it allows me to go deeper with my clients. So let's take Microsoft. That's one of my corporate clients. Spoke at Microsoft headquarters. Now, I did a big keynote on their main stage. I also did some breakouts, but I didn't want it to end there because that's one paycheck, maybe a couple of paychecks. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm doing this full time. So how can I leverage this relationship? Go deeper with them, help their employees more. So during my conversation, I said, how about this? I'm meeting with your managers, and this is managers that run the administrative staff at Microsoft. I said, I'm meeting with your managers in person. How about we do 3 sessions virtually? And I'll just check in once a month. And I said, tell me more about that. And so I went deeper into exactly what I wanted to share. And they said, absolutely, yes. Now, why is that? Now, you're the person, Jane, that makes a lot of us as professional speakers do very well and make crazy money because you have major superstars. We want multiple streams of income. So that's the way of doing it. Another way that I leverage Zoom with Microsoft is while I was there speaking, I pulled out my mobile phone and made sure that I could live stream whatever sessions weren't too private, like my keynote, live stream it right on Facebook through Zoom. Now, I know you're thinking, Why can't you just live stream it directly from Facebook? Because then if it's going through Zoom, Jane, and anyone that's listening, I can control it. It becomes a recording. So I don't want to get too technical, but what I look at Zoom as is not just passive income. And I want to say something about that. Yeah. I look at it as a way to go deeper with my clients, and it creates more income streams, more paychecks. And one quick thing I want to make sure I say before I forget, oftentimes employees are sort of excited about training or somebody coming in doing a keynote. Let's be honest. But when they see me on video, not just some announcement or my picture, but when they see me on video prior to me showing up at Microsoft, I get more butts in the seat and I get more employees that are like, hey, I'm interested. Also, I do a private video to ask people, hey, Jane, would you mind meeting with me for a few minutes? And if I do it via video, then she's more likely to say yes because she feels like she knows me. And I do all this via Zoom in advance and send it to my client.
Okay, so you're like me, and you use the Zoom to record all your videos as well. I know some people like BombBomb, and there are definitely some pros to that as well. But you're using it for a lot of things. I love that. So I'm actually go ahead and tell everybody. And while you're doing that, I want to adjust my frame because I want people to be thinking about their frames. My head is not at the right place in my frame, so I'm going to adjust. But go ahead and say why you don't love the idea of, or you don't love the words passive income.
Yes, because I feel like those words, they create the wrong mindset.
It's like money while you sleep, or you don't do anything to work for this income.
There you go. Okay. I'd rather look at it as a way to leverage my lifestyle as a speaker, a word that I created way back. I've been in this business professionally as a full-time speaker since 2005. So after figuring out, oh my gosh, entrepreneurship ain't easy.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
means I'm
exactly.
responsible for my income. Then I put the two words together, speaker and entrepreneur, and created Speakerpreneur, trademarked it, all that beautiful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I realize is, all right, I've got to go deeper. I've got to market. I've got to sell. I got to do all these different pieces. Passive income means that I don't really have to do all of that, or I have to very little effort. One quick thing I learned was I need to run my business in a way where I'm not overwhelmed and I'm not miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it as a lifestyle product. Zoom helps me live the lifestyle I want, Jane. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
So I can
Beautiful. But
yeah.
you're not sitting there waiting, though, until the
No.
next time you're out trading your time for money on the stage.
No.
You're filling in a lot of the holes in your calendar with revenue generating things. So the word passive may be a bit deceptive, and I may even change it on the title. I don't know. But really, what we're talking about is making more money. And yes, sometimes there might be a little bit of work to be done, but Zoom versus going out on the road and speaking with travel the way it is these days is so much easier. I mean, this literally then does become the make money in your jammies club almost. You know, you can have whatever party on the bottom you want to have going on as long as you look professional on top, right?
Absolutely. And two, I look at it like this, I get to go deeper with the clients that I am serving.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I look at, we'll get to the different types of income streams. But let me just start off with, as a professional speaker, why Zoom needs to be your jam.
Okay.
Because I think too, it's something that I really want to clear up. Guys, it's not an extra thing. There's a lot of tools out there. You name one of those, bonbons. What bum? I'm thinking about the ice cream. Bum, whatever they call it. Those are awesome. They're great, but they do not compare to Zoom because I can do so many things on Zoom and I save money on team and time. I save money with team. I save money on recording videos in advance and putting them into my systems in advance, and they look nice and professional. So let me just get to that question. Why is Zoom a smart platform for speakers? The Zoom platform provides folks like us, professional speakers, a way to share our knowledge in multiple ways without sacrificing our time. So I gave you the example about Microsoft earlier. I can serve the client before, I can serve the client after, I can talk to one manager one-on-one, which I did. And she said, hey, Marquesa, I like this. Would you do a virtual retreat for my team? You see what I just did? I just created a virtual retreat, tends to be 2 to 4 hours. And this is all via Zoom. I'll go into some Zoom categories a little bit later in the interview. But it's smart business because I'm able to serve in multiple ways. Think of how many times an audience member has come up to you and said, Jane, I want more of what you got here. You know, how can I get more of that? And you're thinking, and they want to say, can I give you a call? Can I, they love to pick our brain. Can I do that? Instead, you can say, hey, I got this wealthy speaker school and I meet with my students 2-3 times a week. And this is the way that you can come in. So that's when I get into the different ways. I mean, when I say multiple streams, I'm not playing. And all of these, I've added another either zero to my income or just some extra money to my income.
That's a beautiful thing.
Excited. Yeah. Mastermind.
That's a beautiful thing.
I wanted all of those things.
One of the things we were talking about was when we present on Zoom, showing up as kind of who we are, and you changed your name on the screen to the Zoom Queen. And so I said, okay, I'm going to change mine too to the Wealthy Speaker School. And that's just one more little kind of branding item that you can use Zoom for. And that can actually show up when you're doing your videos as well, does it not, when you record? So I think that's really cool. All right, so let's talk about all of the different income streams that you have. So you've talked about being able to add on with a client. And sometimes you do what, 1 hour sessions? How do you price those, by the way?
Well, I will do Well, I do a lot of strategy sessions, Jane, in my business, because again, I work with entrepreneurs that I change into speakerpreneurs. And speakerpreneurs in my world use their voice to grow their business. So they're speaking virtually, they're speaking in person, they may or may not get a fee. And I'm teaching them how to leverage technology to do that. So what I'll do is meet with them for free. Now they do go through my process of me qualifying exactly the purpose of our time together.
Okay.
Then once I'm with them, I share my screen, there's rapport built, sort of like in person. Then we make a decision how they're going to work with me. So I do not do dialing for dollars. I do not do, I'm going to meet with you for an hour and this is how much it is. Usually if I meet with the person, there's a good rapport. If it's a meeting planner, that's going to lead to a speaking engagement. If it's a person I'm working with one-on-one, then they're going to join my academy. Does that make sense?
Let's say the Microsoft thing where you say, okay, let's add on an additional to this one Keynote fee.
Yeah.
I have heard a general rule of thumb before that people might charge half of their speaking fee, their Keynote fee, for a webinar or for a 1-hour session virtually. Would you say that that's a rule of thumb that you go by, or is it a little bit different from that? Maybe you put together a package?
Good question. I do it this way. With Microsoft, it was an add-on because they were already paying me for a keynote and for breakouts. It's an add-on. Here's a really smart way to do it. Charge per person. So if, for example, let's say that you want to do a webinar, Jane, and it was for an organization, maybe an entrepreneur organization. And you say to them, how many people? Well, we got 250. I would sit down and I would say, okay, I'm going to touch 250 of your people or 250 of your entrepreneurs, whatever they are.
Right.
I'm going to charge maybe $197 per person.
Okay.
I would look at it that way. Why? Because they can watch it at any time. They will have access to the recording, and depending on your Zoom package that you have, they may also get access to the transcription.
You know, and it may also be in line with how the client, how their budget works. They may have X amount of money per employee for additional learning. And so that may work out really nicely for somebody. That's a great idea. I love that. Okay, so let's just kind of think about all of the different ways that you might be able to leverage and earn extra money from Zoom. So you've talked about private coaching.
Private coaching. Another way is a mastermind, that's really popular. And I'm not talking about peer-based masterminds, but masterminds.
Paid for masterminds, like our inner.
Yeah, like a high-end mastermind. And I always say to folks, when you're thinking about doing a mastermind, be very clear about, is this going to be a facilitator-led mastermind or whatever it is, as long as you're charging money. But Zoom is a great way to do that because of the breakout sessions you can do. You can do all of this in a Facebook group, Jane, which is really great. You can meet people in the Facebook group and Zoom in.
I haven't thought about streaming my Inner Circle Mastermind sessions on the Inner Circle Mastermind Facebook page, but I could totally do that. I mean, then it's all, the recording's already there and I save Monica a step. Hey, Monica, yay. Great idea. We just paid for our session here today. Love that. Okay. So private coaching, masterminds, and I think you're right. When you're involved at a much higher level, like for instance, we have other offerings for people that don't involve me very much at all. That's the difference. The more I'm involved, the higher the price goes. And I love that. And then private coaching, of course, is like the premium price. So it's nice to have offerings at different levels, right?
And to your point, Jane, what about that virtual roundtable? I love to do those. The virtual roundtables are there's one where it's the bottom level where everyone gets you, but it's one to many, where we're listening to Jane, it's a full group. And then there's the high end where maybe the dime and the platinum will get you one-on-one. I have people that fly to New York and they'll spend a full day with me. And those same clients will meet me one-on-one virtually, but then there's an in-between. I call it the virtual roundtable. So
I love
maybe I'll
it.
meet with 3 or 4 people. Maybe I'll do this twice a month for 45
Hmm.
minutes each.
Yeah, and
And
they'll pay more because it's a smaller
there you
group.
go. There you
Now,
go.
some of our listeners might be thinking, "Oh, that sounds like too much, too much." I want them to just look at everything as a smorgasbord for them to say, "Ooh, I'm going to take that one idea and run with it." You don't have to do everything that Marquesa is doing because she's out there running kind of a digital marketing business as well as speaking and as well as and so her umbrella may be much bigger and broader than some of you really want to have, and that's okay, right? We take what we want and leave the rest.
Exactly, exactly. And then to your point, Jane, some folks will listen to this and go, all right, I'm going to go create an online course. How many times have you heard of that?
Yeah,
That's not what I'm talking about, guys. I feel like an online course is
it's
amazing.
it's a
And
beast.
it's a beast and it has all those moving parts. What I love about Zoom is you can, you know what I do? Are you sitting down for this? What
Okay.
I do is I take some pressure away from that online course because the online course should run independently by itself.
Mm-hmm.
I will literally say, meet me on Zoom and remind me to share with you a smart branding way to do that. You mentioned it earlier, but you had started to move to income streams. It's a real smart branding idea. But what I will do is I'll say, meet me at speakism.com. That's the name of my Zoom for my members. Meet me there every Tuesday from 8 to 9. The
Mm.
first week of the month is strictly accountability. So I'll teach an accountability lesson and we meet for an hour. Week 2 is a mastermind where you come and you bring your questions. Week 3 is a master lesson where I'll do one deep dive. And then week 4 is behind the curtains. And then literally my team will take those Zoom recordings, Jane, and put them right into the membership site.
Mm.
I'm done.
Beautiful,
You see how
beautiful.
much easier that is
Yes,
than an
yes.
online
And
course?
and if you have a Facebook group for it, you might actually be moving those into the Facebook group, like we just talked about, and saving yourself even a step. I am loving all of these ideas. So let's make sure we did the checklist. We got everything on the checklist in terms of income streams. Was there anything that we forgot?
Yes, I want to mention a few here. Mastermind is one we said that.
Hmm.
Virtual Academy is another one. High-end programs, just think of, and guys, high-end programs can be 3 weeks. It can be 6 weeks. It can be 12 weeks. I would just ask myself, how much time do I need to break down this topic for my clients? Or do
Okay.
I want to give them an appetizer? Do I want to give them an entree? Or do I want to give them a full experience? Like I love to do end of year retreats and beginning of year retreats. It's a one-time thing. I may
Love it.
charge $197 per person. So think of that. So that's what I call that's under virtual events or high-end programs. So
Okay.
don't get it confused. Virtual VIP days, and again, we give it different names, but it just means maybe a few clients or one client is getting your special attention. So again, when you're sitting down and you're thinking about leveraging Zoom, ask yourself, okay, what do people ask me for all the time? Like in
Hmm.
person, I talk about, I'm sure one of your clients is a leadership expert.
Hmm.
I go in and I do keynotes on how to be a better leader, right? What if I got a chance to just talk to those leaders once a month for 12 months? Each leader pays me $10,000 a year to just meet with other leaders. What did we just create? A mastermind. And
Hmm.
they meet with me once a month, and they're not only paying to get my expertise, but they're paying to
All of
also
it.
mastermind with other people.
Yeah.
So
And
start thinking, how can I, connect with my audience a little bit more and a little bit deeper?
so the great question to ask, say, a corporate client might be, well, how long would you like this message to last? If they're hiring you to come in and do something leadership based, how long would you like this message to last? Of course, they don't want like a cup of cappuccino that's the results are gonna fizzle out after a while. They want something that's gonna keep them going for and it's sustainable. And I love that you're really focused on serving your client at a much deeper level by using Zoom. I think that it is it, it's such a great way to really go that much deeper.
And even on top of that, one of the things I love to do is when I serve my clients at a deeper level, leadership, for example, our brain can only take so much, Jane. You know that.
Yes.
So maybe doing your keynote or even your, seminar, you're going to only show me how to do 3 things one way as a leader.
Right.
With the Zoom session, maybe you can now say, all right, you're working with first-time managers.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk to you about 10 things you can do. That's going to take 10 months.
Yep.
And each one I'm going to deep dive. I'm going to give the lesson and I'm going to give the mastermind. So that's what I want them to do. I don't want them listening to this and going, oh my gosh, I got to go create another income stream. Instead, solve a problem with how you can serve your clients even deeper.
I love it. And you can do live coaching. Sometimes when people see the live coaching, they get really excited about the work, and they learn through other people's questions that they have. And so there are a lot of features that I want to show you around here. So I actually, the platform that you and I are using here today is my personal Zoom, but we do have the webinar version so that we can have people raise their hand, ask a question, we can allow them to speak. So we're going to show you a few of the features of Zoom, including screen sharing, so that whenever we get to a point, you'll see how easy it is to just throw a PowerPoint on and walk people through. I mean, some people probably only ever do webinars with PowerPoint only and hardly ever show their faces on Zoom. But maybe let's just talk a little bit about, I don't have a good enough venue to record Zoom. Does it really matter that much that it's like perfect? I think that's the problem, is that people often will wait until things are perfect before they launch.
Well, and you're right, Jane. The thing about Zoom, it gives you everything. So you mentioned screen sharing. So let me just share some things on my screen real quick to kind of give you guys an idea. So look at this. This is one of the many masterminds that I lead. This happens to be the Black NSA Mastermind, one of the community groups of NSA.
Oh, I'm gonna know lots of people here. Oh yes, I definitely.
Tony Chapman, right?
Hey,
Henderson, yeah. So this is one of them. But here's a quick little example about Zoom. Is folks can. Here's a little tip: require that each person puts on their video. That sounds so small. The reason I say that is, if you're on a mastermind with me and I can't see your face, how will I trust you or get to know you, or how will I be vulnerable? Does that make sense?
Right. So it's very easy that 917 caller down in the far corner, they are not getting near the attention that somebody else might be getting. And Tony's sitting outside. Who cares? Nobody cares that Tony's sitting outside. And I think when you get the handle on doing these things, your need for perfection is going to just chill a little bit. And we all know that, especially people who are other entrepreneurs, they know that you're not always sitting in your perfectly coiffed office all of the time, that you're not going to look perfect, every hair in place every single time. I think that's what gets people in their own way of starting, is testing.
Absolutely. So I would also tell your participants, just make sure you're in a quiet place, or you have on your earphones, or
good Wi-Fi. How important? Let's talk about good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Wi-Fi is also important. We want to have that all set up. Worst case scenario, and I'll bring this up as well. Worst case scenario, Zoom is a brilliant machine, because guess what? You can also download the Zoom app on your smartphone. So if you're listening to me, go to your smartphone, even if it's an Android or an iPhone, look for Zoom Cloud Meetings, download it. This is what I did earlier. Look at this, Jane. Now, first, you're going to go to your smartphone. You're going to download Zoom Cloud Meetings, right? Then I can easily do this exact same thing and go into a meeting, but I kind of jumped a little bit. What I love about Zoom is I'm also able to let's say that Jane and I are meeting today. I can go through the Zoom app, and on your smartphone, you don't necessarily always have Wi-Fi. For some reason, Zoom works anyway. It works anyway. And I can go right through my Wi-Fi. I can type in Jane Atkinson and you will come up. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's why I didn't have to make you a co-host out of the chute. You came into me through a totally different way that I didn't even know about, you guys. Hey, for those of you who are members of the National Speakers Association, we have the most amazing deal on Zoom. The thing that I priced it out to do it completely on my own, not through NSA, and it was thousands of dollars. Yes. And I think it's $300 and some odd dollars for the webinar version, and that really gives you a lot of. And I paid that again to be able to have one of my my person who's running the school go in it as well. So just know that we have a good gig going with NSA, and I don't know that you'd ever find that on your own.
I'll just say something quickly about that. It's a no-brainer. You're paying an average of literally $30 a month. Now, if you have Zoom Pro by itself, you're going to pay $45, $50, $60. You mentioned webinar earlier, and you mentioned meetings. Now, some people will listen to this, Jane, and go, wait a minute, I can get Zoom for free. First of all, if you get Zoom for free, guys, you can't, I'm not going to say you can't, but there's a lot of things you cannot do on Zoom. You cannot brand Zoom, which is really important. You cannot record it and keep the recordings. You cannot transcribe it. The list goes on. So the very first thing is get a Zoom paid account. And then even if you get a basic one that's $15, you're still limited to just Zoom meetings. You want Zoom webinar because we're professional speakers. And Zoom webinar makes Zoom your stage. And if it's my stage, that means one-to-many. That means I can bring on hundreds. I did a Zoom the other day, Jane, for one of my corporate clients. 500 people attended. You hear me? So in order to do it, I don't want 500 faces coming up.
Right.
That's not. Now,
that's the difference between a webinar
and a meeting.
And maybe what we would I call it Brady Bunch, because then we're all faces and we're all looking at each other like that. But so Brady Bunch is when, and I would do it with just using my personal Zoom. I could do 10 people Brady Bunch style quite comfortably. But really there's kind of, like you said, there's a maximum to that. But if we're doing a webinar with more people, and we're getting to the point where we're growing the school, so our goal is to have hundreds of people on there at some point, then you're going to want people to raise their hands and to ask you questions through the chat box. And it's funny, I thought that speakers wanted to talk. And so I thought, oh, it's probably really bothering them that they can't get to talk. Well, we finally said, okay, who wants to kind of be on camera and come on this way? Nobody wanted to do it. It's like they had gotten so used to doing it by asking questions through the chat box and raising their hand or asking a question on the Q&A box that they were totally okay with not talking. So who knew that would happen with speakers? By the way, we are doing a video of this. I should have said that at the top of the call. We are doing a video right now. So if anybody wants to go and watch the video, go on over to podcast so you'll see it.
Now, I want to make sure we close out kind of the NSA edition. And there's one of the biggest questions I get is, which version of Zoom should I purchase?
Yes.
If you are an NSA member, or Jane is helping you qualify to become that NSA member, guys, it's a no-brainer, because literally you are getting thousands of dollars worth of resources for as little as $30 a month. And so one of those advantages, and it takes a much longer call to go through it, but one of those advantages is you're using Zoom meetings and you're using Zoom webinars. But what I love about it is the transcription alone. Jane, I used to pay a transcriptionist $150 a month to do about 3 hours a week for me to transcribe everything. Zoom takes care of that.
They do it automatically. All you need to do is check the box, and when you get your recording, you get the transcription at the same time. I'll tell you what we do with that for SEO purposes is we make it into a nice page,
Mhm.
and we make it look pretty with headlines and keywords.
Mhm.
Okay, so the same keywords every time, the ones that we want to own, go into every transcription. And then it's not a PDF. This is important. It's
Mhm.
actually a page on your website, unless you want to use it differently. But for my purposes, which is search engine optimization, we actually put it out as a page on the website. People don't normally even see it. It's just there, and it's helping us with SEO.
Another thing also too that I love about having the NSA version of it is I'm able to share a recording with one simple link versus this is what I would do because I have Vimeo, because Vimeo is fantastic if you have a membership group and you want to keep your recordings private, all that, unless you use a platform like Kajabi where you don't even need that. But what I love is like this recording here, literally Jane can simply go and grab a link, copy the link, and email it to me. And then I can click that link and download the video. Is that crazy or what? So it's easily shareable, which makes everything awesome. Now, one thing I don't want to forget, and this again, guys, if you want to know more about NSA version, just go to the NSA website, click in Zoom, and it lists all those benefits. I really want to use our time in order to really help you leverage Zoom. And
I think they may need to log into the NSA website and go under subscriptions, maybe, just to add on to that. I'm not sure.
Well, that's when if they want to purchase it, but if they just want to see, well, what are the benefits? It's nsaspeaker.org/Zoom.
Oh,
and it
good.
breaks down all the benefits, and you'll hear
that
videos.
Link.
And I put some things in there. I've shared what to do and spoken for NSA about that. Here's something else that's really smart, because I'm all about, wait a minute, I want a tool, Jane, where I can grow my business. I can let folks know what I speak about. Do you notice this here? You see here, it has my face on here, right? It has my title and it has what I do. Now, do you ever, I'm assuming you refer speakers all the time, or you may find out about a corporate client that's looking for a certain type of speaker in the NSA community. What I love is if you're connected, and again, this is not just about NSA, but it happens to kind of come under this umbrella. When you create your Zoom account, your paid account, you want to make sure that you put your title in there, your email address in there, and your face in there. So whether people look at Zoom from their smartphone or Zoom on their computer, this will come across. So let me give you an example.
You're making me think about this. I don't know what I have.
This is yours, Jane. So what I'm going to have you do.
What do I need to add?
You need to go in and add that little blurb which shares what you do, because that's a marketing opportunity.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I never thought about this as a social platform as well as, and so now you've opened up my eyes to that. Thank you.
And then look at this. Look at this. Now make sure you add me as a friend. What's going to happen is I just added you as a friend. So right now it comes up Jane Atkinson. Once you add your little blurb, it'll come underneath it, just like it does for me right here. You see that?
So, okay, question. When I have people call me, though, as clients, I like them to go into my waiting room, which is also a beautiful benefit of someone who has a coaching practice. I'm going to give them the link. I'm not going to have them connect with me directly the way that you did today, because I want them to come in through my link, and I want them to be able to control the waiting room. That's just a little side note. But I'm going to go ahead and grab my... I'm going to go ahead and make sure I put in some branding there. Good call.
So let me talk a little bit about what you just said. What you just said is I want folks to join via my link. So I want to up that a little bit. I noticed in your email signature.
Yeah, I didn't give you a branded link, but I do have one. I just haven't put it out there. So I need to change that. There's another to-do for Jane on this.
But guys, let me share with you. If you don't know the why, you're not going to do it. And I just hate when I attend something, I get excited, but if I don't know the why, it's just going to go on the list and I'm never going to get to it. The reason you want to do it is you're not only using Zoom to serve clients, you're also using Zoom to meet with your team, to meet with your colleagues, to meet with potential clients, right? to interview like you're doing with me for your podcast right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a million different ways you're going to wind up using your Zoom. So why not make it easier? When I send you an email or you send me an email, who has time to go, what's that number again? It's Zoom dot blah, blah, blah. So if you go into Zoom, you see where it says profile, and I'm going to go ahead and put on the spotlight real quick. I'm going to click annotate, by the way, guys. That's in your control panel. Annotate. Annotate allows me to kind of spotlight it. That way you can follow me as I talk here. So you see that little spotlight here? You go here, you see where it says profile. You see that? Click on profile. This is where you're going to add your nice little photo. Zoom is going to give you your personal meeting ID because you're paying for it. So it's your personal meeting ID. And you see that here. There's a personal link opportunity here. I put Speakerpreneur because that's part of my brand. I click customize and I put the word Speakerpreneur. But if you look at this, who's going to remember that, Jane? Who's going to remember? Go to HTTPS:// who's going to remember that? So guess what I did? I went to GoDaddy, one of my host providers. I typed in, I created, you may call it Zoom with Jane.
That's
Zoom with
good.
Jane or Zoom Wealthy Speaker or something like that. Yep. Go there, copy this.
School meetings.
And redirect it. That's it. And
that's
redirect
good.
it. There you go.
That's really good. That's really good. That might help us keep our Zoom links separated to, private call with Jane could be one, and then Wealthy Speaker Schools call could be another one. So that's really good. I like that. It's so smart.
And then you just made a reference to, I know some people are getting excited when they heard you say the word waiting room. Guys, go into settings here and just go down the row and just say, well, what is it that I would like to do? You may want to do green screen, which is amazing. You may, and by the way, you can do green screen on the smartphone, but I don't want to throw too much at you. You can do green screen. You can do personal meeting room.
Let's just talk about what the green screen gives you the opportunity to do. You can put out the green screen, but then you could put like Hawaii in the background, and here I am in Hawaii. Or you could have a lovely office scene, or they have so many options for what you can put behind me. Go ahead and let's show us what that looks like.
Let me show you. Now,
all right.
One of the things
I love that we're demonstrating this. This is fabulous.
You're going to go, I'm always going to say control panel. Always going to say control panel. And I'll show you if you remind me, Jane, I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later. In your control panel, you're going to see something that looks like a camcorder. You're going to click the arrow right next to it. Something says choose a virtual background. Now, I've already uploaded several different virtual backgrounds, so I'm going to push this here. Now, I'm going to warn you, I do not have my green screen up.
Right, so it may not look exactly the way it should.
Exactly. So I'm going to pull up one of the backgrounds that I use.
Just to give you all a little bit of a taste.
Look at this.
Oh, look at that. That's so cool. Even with you not having the green screen back there. I love it.
Look at
that.
That
looks so professional. Beautiful.
You like that?
That is just awesome.
I can throw, what do you call it?
My name could be on there, or the company name that you're working for. So right where you go to start and stop your video, everybody, there's an option that says choose a virtual background. And that is so fun.
I mean, it's crazy.
I love it.
You can Google virtual backgrounds. Just be careful whatever you Google, all right?
Yeah.
You know about that. Google virtual backgrounds. You know what I do? I go into Canva, and that's how I created these special backgrounds. I had to do a training for all of NSA on how to use Zoom. So I use their logo.
I love it.
And then I put Zoom right behind it. Whenever I do the mastermind, I put that right behind it. So there's different types. What I was going to say real quick, get a green sheet. You can buy it for like $3 off of Amazon. I can throw it on this black chair behind me, and that will stop it from doing what it's doing right now.
I love that you're doing it without actually having your screen up. That makes me wonder, I wonder what would happen if I did it just with what I've got going on here. So I'm going to try that with curiosity, because I really love the idea of having a very specific message on the screen and each time. I think that's so fun. And if you're recording anything for future, then you could have we have 100 lessons that we've done for our school. It would have been really neat to have the name of the lesson up there. time. Really awesome information. Now, we may be getting close to information overload here, so I am aware. What are the pieces that we really cannot miss? What have we not talked about that really cannot be missed?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to say the top 5 benefits. If you can start maybe with the top 5 benefits.
All right.
Of why you, after listening to this podcast and of course watching the little video on the side, why you need to get on Zoom yesterday, not even today. So here are the top 5, and I try to keep it very simple. Number 1, and this is in no particular order, Zoom is great as your office. So I call it Zoom your office. So what do I mean by that? Zoom your office means I can meet with my team. I can create instructional videos for my clients. I can use systems. It makes me more productive. I don't know about you, but I like being productive. Number 2, Zoom as your studio. You just saw us use green screen. Hello.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's also marketing. Cool. You're interviewing me for your podcast. That all comes under Zoom as my studio, as well as
and we do all of our recording this way for everything that we do. We do podcast recording, even though I can see the person. Oftentimes we don't keep the video portion of it to put out to you all, but this time we decided we would do that. So just know, we use it to record everything, and the quality is quite good.
Did you hear that? I mean, this is great. So then number 3 is Zoom your stage. You can do a keynote on Zoom. I will literally put up a green screen behind me to maybe get a white background or a stage background, Jane. I will stand up instead of sitting down, and then I will literally just do a keynote. So let's say you have an international client, and maybe you don't want to fly there. You can't fly there. You can always say, don't worry, I can still do my keynote. I can still answer questions and interact with the audience. I'm just going to do it standing up, and I'm going to do it via Zoom. So again, Zoom you can do summits, live stream, TV shows. Number 4, Zoom your classroom. That's when you, again, like you call it the Brady Bunch. Mm-hmm. This is where you have multiple people. And remember, we didn't mention this, and this is huge. You want to use the breakout rooms. What does that simply mean? Guys, you know what I love about Zoom? If you go to zoom.us, go to that website, they have something that says training. It's all about training. Type in the word breakouts, they will explain what that means. For you and me as speakers, what it means is if I have 60 people on, I can decide, I think I want 4 people in each room. Don't ask me to do the math, Jane. So 4 people in each room, I click a button, everyone breaks off, and then I can go and visit each group to see how they're doing, or I can just be nosy and go, what y'all talking about?
So kind of it's like you say, okay, we're going to break off into groups of 4, and it's like you're walking around the room to check in on each of them. That is super cool. I love it. So they can be brainstorming with each other is the point of that, right?
There you go. And then I get even more sophisticated, because if I have a guest on like you, then I can send you one way to visit all my groups, and I can go the other way. You may say, wait a minute, are you managing all this?
We'll divide and conquer.
I have a Zoom admin, Jane. And because only one person can move people around. So either I'm going to do it if it's a small group and I can handle it, or if it's a large group, I can have my VA do it. So bottom line, Zoom is your classroom. And then the final one is, and I mentioned this earlier, Zoom as your virtual best friend. I can be sitting in an airport and do an interview right on my Zoom phone. Did I say Zoom phone? I'm sorry. I love Zoom so much. I call it a Zoom phone. Right on my smartphone, I can go into the Zoom app, and we can do exactly what we're doing right now. And I can put up my green screen if I choose. It's right behind me. So those are the 5 things: Zoom your office, Zoom your studio, Zoom your stage, Zoom your classroom, Zoom your virtual best friend.
So good. Well, I have actually got some homework to do after this one, which I kind of thought I would. I am the type of adopter. I'll be an early adopter, but I'll be a halfway adopter. So I get it, but then I never learn all of the full functionality of everything. This has given me some excitement to actually go back into it and say, hey, I didn't even know that social element was there. So you taught me something huge here today. I am so appreciative of you. Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what is the best first step? Obviously, you are a brilliant coach for entrepreneurs, and everybody should be talking to you about how to get some of these things going for themselves. What's the first step?
The two things I would say: go to zoomstrategically.com. Guys, get on my wait list, because at different times I will open up my Zoom Academy where I get into, now guys, I don't compete with Zoom, nor do I work for Zoom. So I'm not going to just focus on the basics. I'm going to show you how to make money using Zoom. So already as speakers, because those are my people, what we're doing is I'm just showing you how do you create that mastermind, how do you create that high-end program. So go to zoomstrategically.com and get on my wait list. And you can also join my Facebook group at zoomtogrow.com. And I'm on Facebook. I'm on everything as Speaker Talk. I would leave your audience with what are 3 things to do now? Because I know they're like, where do I start? You asked me that. You already
narrow it down to your first 3 takeaways. And okay, we will put all of the details in the show notes. And also you're going to want to come into the show notes page to watch the video of this so that you can see what it was that we were talking about. Marquesa, thank you so much. This was absolutely fantastic. I appreciate you and you coming on the show today.
Jane, you are amazing. I respect you so much. When I was a new speaker 15 years ago, I heard you at an NSA conference. And I'm like, yes. So to be on your, when you asked me,
full circle moment,
it's like a full circle moment. So I feel honored. And I'm always here for you. I'm your personal Zoom expert. So
yay!
You got a speed dial to me. And everybody else is awesome too, but you have a speed dial to me.
Thank
if
you.
Ever need me to talk about how to grow your business using
I'm so appreciative. And if you're listening in on whatever platform that you like to listen in, I hope you're going to give this one a 5 stars because it was awesome, chock full of great ideas and takeaways. And I think the only problem will be which ones limit it to 3 and just start. Just begin.
And watch the video.
And watch the video. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening in. And with that, we will say, see you soon.
See you guys.
Now, everyone. Hey, thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed our show, you'll want to come and visit us at the Wealthy Speaker School, where we provide a proven roadmap for building your dream business. Go to wealthyspeakerschool.com. And for show notes for today's podcast, head on over to speakerlauncher.com and click on podcast. I'll see you soon, Wealthy Speakers.